Cole is an award-winning freelance journalist, a radio host, and an activist in Toronto. His writing has appeared in Toronto Star, Toronto Life, Walrus, Now Magazine, Ethnic Isle, Torontoist, BuzzFeed, and the Ottawa Citizen. Desmond hosts a weekly radio program every Sunday on News Talk 1010. And Desmond's 2015 piece, The Skin I'm In, won 3 National Magazine Awards, including the award for Best Magazine Writer. It was recently adapted into a documentary by Charles Officer, and he's currently working on his first book. Please welcome Desmond Cole.
I thought they were going to give me a chair. I'm just messing with you guys. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the... Whoa. Thanks. I was really just teasing. To talk about what we just saw, I'm joined by 3 guests. We're going to have a little panel discussion now. I'm going to introduce them first. Raven Wings. Raven is an African, Bermudian, Mohawk, Two-Spirit, queer, and transcendent individual. Raven aims to challenge mainstream arts and dance spaces by sharing her stories while continuing to create opportunities and platforms for marginalized LGBTQIQ2S people with a focus on African Black communities. Raven is a founder of Ilnana Diversity Dance Company, artistic director of OVA Outrageous, I'm not doing a good job. OVA, which is Outrageous Victorious African Collective, a dance theater and part of the Black Lives Matter Toronto Steering Committee also. Welcome, Raven. Next, Gloria C. Swain. Gloria is a Black feminist, artist, and activist. She holds a master's degree in environmental studies and a certificate in community arts practice from York University. Growing up in an era deeply rooted in racism, Gloria worked to support movements like BLMTO and the Occupy INAC movement to address the lack of police and government accountability. Hi, Gloria. And Iranranebi Agbayegbe, who is a writer and a self-taught social documentary photographer focused on presenting the Black voice in Canada. He hails from Lagos, Nigeria, and is of the Istakiri tribe, from Wari, Delta State. His work ranges from images of the Black family and culture. He studied professional writing and communications and English with a minor in sociology and philosophy at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Welcome, Iranranebi. So you guys are going to keep me to time? Given that, yeah? Okay, cool. I know we ran a little late and started a little late. I guess the first thing that I want to do is get close to you guys because it's too scary being this far away. And I want to just get reflections on what we just saw, both on BLMTO Black Pride and on Whose Streets. So just some brief reflections from everybody on one or both of what we just witnessed. Raven, do you want to go first? Just grab it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a mic, so. Hi, I'm Raven. So thoughts on BLMTO first. Well, obviously, I'm a big supporter of BLM. I'm one of the members of the steering committee. Seeing that footage is really interesting and something that kind of unites both of those two things for me is that they're not movies. They're not documentaries. It's this really interesting thing when you see people that you know and streets that you kind of grew up in or around in a film, and you see the sort of pain. I see a lot of pain and a lot of resilience and a lot of brilliance, but it's being part of BLM is in one way really life affirming and heartwarming, in another way completely devastating. And so that's how I feel.
Thank you. That was good. I guess what I wanted to say with BLTO, with the setting, I find that even with the Ferguson, the media, we always look and listen to what the media has to say. So even with the Pride, the setting, where we stopped the parade, the media focused on the woman who couldn't get a T-shirt. While we were on the float, no one focused on the white people, the white guys shooting us with cold water and calling us a bunch of niggers. The media didn't focus on that. Similar to what happened in Ferguson, they focused on the buildings being burned, not on the community, the people who are actually involved in the fight with the police. They also interviewed the white cop who committed the murder, not even talking to the parents of the young man. So I think we see they say this is a historical moment in the U.S. history. It is not. The only reason it's called historical because back in my day, we didn't have cameras. We didn't have footage. The same thing happened in Detroit. There was nothing, the Detroit riot. I made notes because I'm here. With Martin Luther King. I mean, all of those, that's history that was not documented. We don't have it on footage. And I wanted to just point out that Mike Brown's murder was not the first. We can look at Yvette Smith, a black woman murdered by police, February 2014, before Mike Brown. Eric Gardner, remember he was choked by the police. This is July 2014. So it's not new. And it didn't start with Mike. There are others. Okay, I'm going to just go quickly. Tyrese, the 12-year-old who was shot with a gun, 2014, after Mike. Sandra Bland, 2015, after Mike. Walter Scott, 8 bullets in the back, after Mike. Freddie Gray, the young man who was at the back of the police van, and his neck was broken. And the young man, Sterling, who was murdered for selling CDs. And another one we all know about is the young man who was shot while his little girl was in the back seat. So Mike Brown did not stop. We're still looking at it. So I just want to I think what the film did was open up the conversation about police in the black community. It showed the world what it's like to be a black person and standing up against the police. So.
All right, thank you. For me, what really stood out is the impact these actions of the police especially had on the communities and their response to that violence. Because they're regular community members that saw something happen in their communities and decided to step up and do something. Right? A lot of people at great personal risks. A lot of people, as we saw with Brittany, she went through anxiety. Her family was impacted. They were involved in the movement in so many different ways. And that's embodying to me because a lot of different things happen within our own communities. And that's something I highlighted on top of everything everyone has already said, resilience in the media, and just the communities coming together as one. And that's something I want us to dive more into. I think there's more questions coming in about that.
Most definitely. I want to stick with you just for a minute, around Onebi, and like what I saw, in addition to everything that you guys just mentioned, was Black love and Black family, in particularly Whose Streets. I thought that the brilliance of what we just got to watch and take in was how much this look into what happened in Ferguson was constructed around family and was constructed around the ways that people are trying to go about their day-to-day while they're fighting back. Because this is what people don't see, is that they don't see the lives that people are leading. There's always this intentional suggestion that protesters are doing what they're doing because somehow they're not interested in contributing in the economy. They don't have anything better to do. They don't have a job, right? And I often think that's funny because what we're fighting about often is the fact that you can't get a good job, that you can't make decent living. That's why we're out there, right? But that look into family and that look into people loving and caring for each other while they're going about this revolutionary work, I thought was very powerful. And on that note, Iran Renebi, I wanted to ask you, like, how do you reflect on that mention in Whose Streets about this being a lifestyle? The idea that this is not something that people get up like it's a job and do every day, but it's actually something that's woven into who exactly you are as a person.
I think it's woven into your being. Because, for example, myself, I have a daughter. She is almost 2 years old. And even before she was born, I knew that I needed to do something to get more involved in the work that needed to be done to make our lives better. But the reflection on the families is very important because, like, we have to live our lives. We have to go about our days. Like, you have a job, but you still have to live within these communities, as they were saying. You have to live within Toronto. You have to live within Mississauga. You have to live with racism, anti-Blackness every day, in your communities. And the reflection on Black love, the reflection of the family is a reflection of our lives. We have to go about our daily lives. We'll also have to struggle every day just to get a job, just to eat, just to survive. It's important that that was reflected in the movie because that's exactly what we live in our day-to-day lives. And I believe that it's a strong part of what needs to be done and what needs to be shown, especially within the communities, to make sure that people know that we have lives, we got shit going on, you know? I got shit to do too. But we still show up for our people, we show up for our communities, we show up because we have families that are gonna come after us. There's people coming in, we have children that are gonna grow up to live within these communities, and that's the reason why we do this, for our families, for our loves, for our communities, and for everyone around us.
Gloria, thank you for that. When I first met you, I don't know if you remember this, but you were dancing.
Mama got it.
And we were at a protest, but you were dancing. Because that's what you do. Can you talk about that and about the energy that you bring to this resistance? Because, like, dancing might not always occur to people given what we're going through in those times. But I always notice the way that you're bringing that kind of energy into these spaces, and I want to know where that comes from for you. Because we could see you dancing, and if you guys caught it, if you saw anybody moving when you're watching that 4 or 5 minutes of BLMTO Black Pride, that was probably Gloria. So what's going on there?
It's just the energy because, okay, when you're born Black, you're born into, you're born to fight. And growing up, I'm talking 6 decades of fighting racism. I grew up in the South. I was born in the South. So the Trump era is nothing new to me. And I think growing up in poverty in the South is like all we had was music. All we had was entertainment. Even through the pain. Like if we went to a funeral, during the wake, we're dancing, we're celebrating. We go to the funeral, we cry. But after the funeral, we dance again. There's always a time where we have to just find that fire. And we can't stay down. Because when we stay down, we don't get up. And as me, I'm 61 and I can work. I can shake my ass. You got it on camera. I'm just saying, there's a time to dance and a time to cry. And if my energy can lift someone else up, I'm good.
Raven, apart from the really, really incredible change that BLMTO was able to bring with the protests that we saw, the way that Pride, I still get the creeps watching Matthias Chantelois, the at that time executive director, coming and hugging everyone and signing that petition. And then as many of us will remember, the next day, he went on TV basically saying, I didn't mean any of that. We just had to get the parade moving. But despite that, BLMTO mobilized people, and BLMTO was able to say this year, no uniformed police in the Pride Parade. And on top of that, last night I actually was with Raven. We were together at the Toronto District School Board because a committee of the Toronto District School Board voted last night to take police officers out of every TDSB school, and that's going to be voted on. There's a final vote coming on that next week. It is not a done deal yet, and it is only for the Toronto District School Board. It's not for the Catholic Board. But despite that, this is clear movement in the right direction for us. And I want to know how, in this calendar year, how has BLMTO been able to achieve these gains? What do you think is being done that allows for this to happen? Because it's very consistent, the work that's being done.
It's really interesting. How do I answer that?
And sorry, just to make your job a little more complicated, I just actually just want to add that it's not just BLMTO. I'm not saying that either. You should have seen who was out last night. You should see who's been working on this issue around the cops, particularly for the last year and a half, lobbying people. This is a 10-year process, really. We keep talking about that. We've had this program for 10 years, but BLMTO has been very much a driving force, and I want to know what you think is the key to that ability to move.
We trust our communities. We are a group of folks. There are 9 of us, but in the steering committee, but there are so many people who show up and who help make that happen. So it's not just BLM specifically. So I think we're just really dedicated. We really want to see an end to policing. We really want to see an end to sort of this this attack on, like you said last night, this attack on children's imagination, and allowing folks to sort of dream and to be who they are and to live dignified sort of lives. So and so as a team we talk a lot, and we all somewhat take on different roles based on our personalities. And some of us are like, we need to stay rooted in community and keep us really grounded in the spaces in the city. And some of us keep us really on our toes in terms of accessibility. And I remind everyone that we need to take breaks and we need to remember our lives while we're fighting for other folks' lives. So we need to keep our goals and our careers and all those things as well. So we help each other a lot. We support each other a lot. We love each other a lot. We don't know each other that well, though. And like them, we came together because we cared about what was happening. And we've learned sort of to love each other and to hold each other and to sort of walk with all of y'all who show up.
I'm getting this signal, which either means that there's clothes in the dryer or, yeah. And it's unfortunate because we started late, and I know there's a lot more too that we wanted to get to, and I apologize for that. If I could take the indulgence, though, I'm going to take it because I have the microphone. Never put this in my hand. I just have a quick announcement to make because part of this revolutionary struggle, as you saw in Who Streets, has to do with getting arrested. Being willing to put yourself on the line and having to pay the consequences when you do that. I was arrested in July of this year at a police services board meeting. I was arrested because I dared to talk about Devontae Miller, a 19-year-old black teenager from Whitby who was beaten ruthlessly by a police officer and his brother. This is the worst case of police collusion and corruption that I have witnessed in the province of Ontario in my life. And our public officials are not even talking about it. I was arrested, I was taken out of that building, I was charged with trespassing in a public building at a public meeting, and I have court 1 week from today. I have court at Old City Hall on November 23rd, 8:30 in the morning. That's real. How do you think I feel, though? Yeah, 8:30 in the morning. There is a big courtroom where they're going to bring this matter, and I want that courtroom to be full because we cannot allow them, when we want to speak about our brother and what happened to him, they can't intimidate us. They can't shut us down. They can't silence us. Whatever they're going to do, it's not going to work. The only reason I have to go to court on November 23rd at 8:30 at Old City Hall is because they won't talk about Devontae Miller. And we're going to continue using every platform that we have to make sure that there is light shine on that issue. I ask all of you who are capable of getting there 8:30 in the morning next Thursday to be there. I've posted this on my Twitter. I've posted this on my Facebook. They're going to cut off my mic. But I just wanted to say that really quick because I don't often ask for stuff like this, and I need you guys next week. I need you. So please, if you can.
I thought they had a question.
Okay. Shout out Regent Park Film Festival, this incredible free festival that happens in this community every year. Shout out. Shout out to Michael Toledano, who's actually the director of BL and Teal Black Pride, sitting quietly here in the front row. Shouts to you for an incredible film that you created. Thank you to all the volunteers who helped make this free festival possible. There's more events. I hope you pick up information on the way out. Please tweet about this. Please use your social media. Use hashtags. Get the word out. Thank you guys very, very much.
Sorry, can I say one more thing?
Whoa, hang on. Whoa.
Sorry, one more thing. On November 22nd at 5:30 p.m., there will be a vote by the board of TDSB whether or not to get rid of the SRO program completely. We want to pack that building, pack that space, so that so that you know the faces that are not protecting our children, but also so that they feel the pressure of us being there. We're organizing this somewhat in a way. In a peaceful way, so we're not going to go and chant necessarily unless it's a no. Okay? It shouldn't be. It's at 5:30 p.m. at 5050 Yonge Street.
5050 Yonge Street, accessible by the Yonge subway line if you don't drive. 5050 Yonge Street. What time?
Set up your rides.
What time?
5:30 p.m.
5:30 on the 22nd. We'll see all y'all.